No one really knew what had happened to Michael's roommate, Ravi. He kept saying it was just a speeding ticket, but by the time the university told him his SEVIS record had been terminated, the official reason listed was criminal activity. Michael didn't push. He liked Ravi. Quiet, polite, not someone who caused trouble, but even he wondered if there was more to the story. A ticket wasn't a crime, and the way Ravi spoke about it, like the system had misunderstood something, sounded almost too simple. For a few days, Ravi barely left his room. He was calling offices, trying to figure out what had gone wrong. The violation, it turned out, had flagged something in a federal database. No one filed charges. No one contacted him. But that alone had been enough to revoke his visa. When he went to the international office for help, they told him that criminal violations weren't eligible for reinstatement, so they wouldn't issue the form he needed to do it. Michael remembered how confused Ravi looked when he said that. The I-20 wasn't some final decision, wasn't an approval, just the basic document that would let him ask the government to look at his case. But the university refused. They said they couldn't take the risk. Michael didn't fully understand it at the time. If Ravi had the right to ask for reinstatement, why couldn't he? He didn't get an answer. Neither did Ravi. In the end, he packed a single suitcase and left. No hearing, no process, no appeal. Just a digital cancellation and a school that wouldn't help. Before he left, Ravi said one thing. "Hope it's this easy for you." Michael had no idea what he meant. 2 months later, Michael's own notice arrived. It came from financial aid, informing him that his eligibility for Title IV federal assistance had been permanently revoked due to his record being flagged in the federal criminal database. At first, Michael couldn't understand why, until he remembered the drinking citation from freshman year. He'd been 19, at a dorm party, caught by campus police holding a single red plastic cup. The officer wrote him up. Michael paid a small fine online and promptly forgot it ever happened. But under revised federal reporting guidance, the university had been required to report policy infractions to the government for expanded compliance screening. In its code of conduct, alcohol violations were listed alongside drug offenses under the same disciplinary category, both flagged internally as substance-related incidents. That internal flag was then fed into a compliance database the government used to monitor eligibility for aid under 34 CFR Section 668.40, which applies to illegal drug offenses. The flag triggered a match. The university cited federal rules obligating compliance with automatic exclusion criteria. They had no recourse to offer. Within days, his tuition lapsed and his enrollment was canceled. The university notified housing immediately afterward. His lease was tied directly to enrollment status. And with it terminated, he was given 1 week to vacate his apartment. Michael packed what little he owned into 2 cardboard boxes and called his parents, who drove 3 hours to pick him up. They didn't ask many questions on the drive home. Michael had few answers to give them anyway. At the time, it seemed like an isolated misfortune, something he would fix eventually. Back at home, he returned to his old job at the local supermarket. The pay was low, but it was work, and for a brief moment things seemed manageable again. But then a federal memorandum arrived, announcing a mandatory informational expansion of E-Verify background checks for all existing employees nationwide. Not an official authorization step, it claimed, just a transparency measure to provide employers additional context on their employees. Michael's name came back double-flagged, once for the alcohol-related criminal flag, and again for the administrative expulsion from the university. The supermarket's corporate compliance office issued immediate guidance to all local managers to avoid employing anyone flagged, even if technically allowed, to avoid further scrutiny or risk of fines. Michael's manager apologized briefly, but told him not to come back. Now, without a paycheck, Michael applied online for unemployment insurance, but the unemployment claim triggered another mandatory federal database recheck. This deeper sweep flagged Michael's campus eviction as a third separate administrative violation. Because he hadn't explicitly listed the expulsion and eviction in his unemployment application, Michael hadn't thought of them as criminal or relevant. His record was automatically tagged with a 4th violation. administrative concealment for omission for not reporting himself. This accumulation of flags triggered a computerized risk algorithm, automatically elevating him to a higher threat category. The automated system sent out regional administrative compliance notices, including one to his parents' homeowners association. The HOA dutifully issued its own notice labeling Michael as a dangerous individual, highlighting his multiple flags, including the initial criminal citation, university expulsion, campus eviction, and newly added ones for administrative concealment and getting fired from his job. In careful, impersonal language, it advised that harboring such an individual violated association bylaws. Under the HOA charter, they were required by law to report flagged individuals to local law enforcement. They provided the police with exact dates Michael had resided at the home after returning from college. That notice initiated yet another mandatory action, an administrative eviction order served by local authorities. The eviction order arrived late in the afternoon, hand-delivered by 2 local officers accompanied by a tactical enforcement team. Michael's parents opened the door quietly, without protest, as a plainclothes official explained in a neutral voice that the presence of an administratively designated dangerous individual in their home necessitated immediate removal. Michael stepped forward instinctively, raising his hands in silent surrender, unsure why he felt compelled to do so. The officers spoke calmly, following procedures precisely. They explained to Michael's parents that compliance was mandatory. Refusal or interference would trigger further administrative penalties. Michael was quietly led past his neighbors, who watched in silent curiosity behind drawn curtains. There was no commotion, no raised voices, no resistance. Just procedure. That evening, after the officers finished their paperwork and drove away, Michael found himself standing alone beside a small pile of possessions on the curb. His parents, forbidden to shelter him, stood silently behind the front door, watching through a narrow gap in the blinds. Darkness fell quietly, leaving him uncertain what would happen next, wondering whether Ravi had felt the same sense of numb detachment when his time had run out. It wasn't long before another vehicle slowed to a stop in front of him. This one bore official government insignia but no flashing lights, just a discreet emblem identifying it as part of Homeland Security's ICE enforcement and removal operations. 2 agents stepped out, both polite, neither aggressive nor reassuring. They scanned Michael's ID, verified his flags against a handheld device, and informed him that homelessness, under the recent Homelessness Reduction Executive Order, now constituted a deportable offense. Michael protested briefly, stating that he was a citizen, confused and exhausted. The agents nodded, understanding, but clarified politely that citizenship status was irrelevant under administrative deportation protocols. "You've accumulated multiple flags," one agent explained softly. "You've been administratively classified as a habitual offender under federal compliance standards. Your options are either detention until a court date in 2029 or voluntary renunciation of citizenship status with immediate supervised departure." They paused respectfully, as though waiting for Michael's choice, though everyone standing there understood there was no choice at all. Michael said nothing further. The officers gently guided him into the vehicle, closed the door quietly, and drove away slowly, leaving behind nothing more than the muffled sound of an engine and a darkened street. No sirens, no noise, no appeals, just careful routine compliance. The system working exactly as designed. So how did Michael end up in CECOT? Leave your ideas in the comments below.